Hello and welcome, genties and ladlemen. It is in fact your boy, Sir Edward, and on episode 16 of the Cracking the Shell podcast. Wow, we are legally old enough to get married and have sex. That's terrifying. We have got Hamish, ex Age of Summoning, Laceration, Iniquitous Savagery, and now of Black Label Coaching. Hamish, how's it going?
Yeah, good. Also, excellent lifting history. I'm working up those encyclopedia metal entries.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
Bef-
not good.
Before we get into everything that you're doing now, as with everybody on the show, I like to rewind the clock a little bit and find out how we got here, your upbringing, finding music, finding metal, your first bands, all that kind of stuff. The Hamish Maguire origin story.
Well, like everyone, I'm happy to speak about myself. That's fine with me. Um, no, I was in quite a musical household, not in terms of playing music, but like my parents were both very into music. When I was like really wee, so always had that kind of inkling. Originally, when I was in primary school, got really into like rap music. That was the thing. It was Eminem. That was on the first Now CD that I got as a Christmas gift. But then really it took a different turn when I was watching probably Kerrang TV, or one of the music channels, RIP Kerrang, and that was sad. That last broadcast, if anyone's not watched it, it's your childhood being destroyed and that. But yeah, the Green Day American Idiot had just come out, and they put on the music video for Green Day American Idiot. And I remember straight after that, went through to my mum and was like, "Mum, I need to learn to play guitar. This is what I need to do," and that's what I did. I'm someone who goes very all in on things, which we'll probably come back to. But it's like I'm going to learn to play guitar, so that's what I did. And then getting into originally, so I was very into Green Day, and kind of start getting into like pop punk kind of thing, Sum 41 and Found Blink and all that kind of stuff. But I was around with my mates playing PS2 back in the day because you had to physically be there to play PS2. And it
Yep.
was quite a normal thing that you just turn the music down and put your own tunes on.
Mhm.
Um, and he put on Trivium's Ascendancy album, and it was the if anyone's not heard it, starts off with a big operatic intro and then it goes into a very kind of fast, thrashy. It's metalcore kind of, but like they did their own thing. And it was very heavy. I'd never heard scream vocals before. I'd never heard probably drop D guitar tuning before. And I was just like, "What the fuck is this? This is amazing." Um, and I remember my mate burned me the Sensi album, along with Built for Valentine's the Poison and Metallica's Black Album. And then, I wasn't probably the most social or happy wee kid at high school. I was probably first or second year high school at this point. So I just sitting every day, listen to the tunes on the bus, and just got really, really into metal. And then over the years, that I always pushed for that something more extreme and faster. And that then led, so I got into, as I say, it was kind of metalcore, and very, very early deathcore. I think at that time, like the first job for a Cowboy EP and Suicide Silence, I think EP was out at that time. I was really big on finding music through YouTube, which wasn't really that old at that time, to be honest.
Mhm.
So there was some quite cool stuff on there, and then ended up getting into death metal through a band called Disregarding the Goddess, because I was trying to learn how to do scream vocals, and Cam, aka Big Chocolate, did these vocal videos, and I was like, "This is fucking amazing! I need to listen to this." Um, and then discovered this thing called the Devourment Forum, which was this forum back in the day that all these death metal bands were posting on. And that was kind of the entry into death metal. I remember downloading on LimeWire, Discord, Consume the Forsaken, because everyone in this forum was like, "This is what brutal death metal is going to be. This is like the best shit ever." I remember putting it on and literally being like, "I don't know what the fuck is going on." I was probably like 14, sitting on the school bus, and like, but I just forced myself to listen to it on repeat until it made sense. And yeah, then I got into bands through, uh, like started them in early high school, and then I started my own band. I was in a band, and then we kind of did our own thing, and then I wanted to be in a death metal band. So I was like, right, I'm going to do this, and I was probably 15 when I formed Laceration. And that was kind of the entry. So I played the first gig when I was like 16. I'm 31 as of yesterday. So it's like half my life was, like, we're doing this shit. Yeah, Laceration ended up doing loads of stuff with them. Played a lot with Party Cannon back when Party Cannon would open for us, which probably wouldn't happen nowadays. Good on them. But we did some tours of Party Cannon, played in Europe, ended up signing to a record label called New Standard Elite, which wasn't that old at that time. Now it's become a pretty big thing, which is really cool. And released an album on that. And then, and then lots of stuff happened. We lost our bass player, unfortunately. So the drummer then stopped playing drums. I relocated down to London. I fast forwarded quite a lot of time. I'm now like 22 at this point. 23, finished uni, moved down to London, tried to restart the band, then got asked to join Nifted Hysteria, who were doing quite well at the time. So I was like, yeah, I'll give that a shot. And then moved back to Scotland, and then joined Age of Summoning. And then we didn't really do much. I didn't really have the time to put in, so I left. Then joined Invictus Savagery briefly. I was like, I'm going to really try and make this work. But again, just with time commitments and life commitments, I had to. I just said to the guys, I was like, you guys need someone who can be more dedicated to the band, basically. Because being in a band is fucking awesome when you're playing gigs, right? But when the time around playing gigs is quite a lot of effort, for that you're doing for free normally. Like, it has to be your passion. And in that time, I joined the gym when I was like 18. Was never into fitness, never into health. My lunch was like a pack of donuts from Co-op for a long time. I was a pretty overweight man, I would say, very overweight guy, and decided I wanted to change it. As I say, I go very in on things when I decide to go in on them. So I just was like, I'm going to learn everything I can, and then got into bodybuilding. So I've now competed in a bunch of shows, like 7 shows or something like that over the period of about the last 5 years. That's gone really well. And now I have my own business where I help coach people and get them in shape, whether they want to be super jacked and be a bodybuilder, or they just want to kind of lose some weight and stuff. Yeah, that was a long monologue. Sorry for that, but that's kind of like a very brief history of what's taken me. Why I'm here, right? Because I was heavily involved in the music scene, and then I kind of have been in and out of it, and I've maybe had to accept that I can't quite do it as much as I used to, because of the bodybuilding thing. It's which ultimately just takes up that space in my day that probably would have been spent doing music, realistically.
Mm-hmm. Well, if the main thing is that as long as you're happy doing what you're doing, then
Yes.
everything is good. I saw you at your first show as Iniquitous Savagery's vocalist,
Yes.
and that was incredible. It
Thank
was
you.
it was a lot of fun. It would have been interesting to see how things would have progressed if you had stayed down that path, but obviously
Yeah.
you're doing hella well for yourself, looking at everything you're doing with Black Label Coaching, and of course now you have your own podcast, which I'll have a link to down there if you want to
Thank
hear
you.
loads of stuff about getting swole and fighting bears and I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good fun. The podcast is a kind of recent-ish thing. I decided after my last set of shows I wanted to do it. Bodybuilding podcasts are like quite a big thing in the bodybuilding world. I spend probably a minimum an hour a day listening to a variety of different podcasts. It's where I've learned a lot about the sport. And what I realized is, like, I was having these chats with guys in the gym about gym stuff, but it's not always something about some of the technical stuff. Like, it's not necessarily about like how much protein should you eat. It's kind of getting into some of the other stuff. And was just like, I should probably just record some of this. So there's a fucking fly buzzing around me. But yeah, I was like, that I should probably record some of this stuff. So I've started doing that, and it's been taken really well. It's been good. It's been quite funny because I was someone who I felt quite on the outside of the bodybuilding scene for a long time looking in.
Mm.
I think it's somewhere you have to earn your place in a way, same like the music scene, right? And I paid my due diligence in the music scene by playing these bands, as I say, since I was 16. So I was quite used to kind of just being there and being part of it. But with the bodybuilding thing, I had to kind of re-earn that, and it's been good this year. I've kind of felt like that's maybe paying off, and I'm getting the respect back from people, which is cool. But it just shows you have to play the long game. You have to keep doing it and be real about it, and people notice eventually.
Definitely, definitely. It doesn't matter what kind of field you're in, whether it's you're just doing a 9 to 5 job, if you're bodybuilding, if you're in any kind of creative, I suppose any kind of creative space, whether it's music, art, or whatever it might be, is that the long game is always going to be the most important thing. Even
Yeah,
in this age of like everything's a minute long reel or a TikTok or whatever, the long game is ultimately what's going to pay off in the end.
yeah, absolutely. Um, Sorry, this is a technical issue. Is there any chance you could turn your microphone up? Because I'm very quiet.
Yeah, sure. Hold on.
Unless it might just be me.
Let me see. Just need to go on the thing.
If not, fine. I'll be quiet in the background. That's all.
It's all right. Well, that's just turning up the speakers. My microphone is, I think, at max. I'll check on the actual microphone itself.
Well, if not,
Um,
I'll start to sit a bit closer.
yeah. Let me see. I like to keep all this stuff in because, like, this is real, and podcasts are
Yeah,
meant to be long form anyway. Otherwise, if
exactly.
I was going to
Exactly.
cut out all the fluff, it's boring, and the
Yeah,
tangents are what makes it fun, at least for me, anyway.
absolutely, absolutely. It's about real chats.
We like the real chats, and seeing having earned your place in the music scene and then I suppose kind of having to start over again, did the prospect of that daunt you in any way?
Um, yeah, it definitely did. My kind of me getting into bodybuilding. Like I never when I started going to the gym, it wasn't really to be a bodybuilder. It was
Mm.
because I had real issues with how I looked. Like as I say, I was very very overweight. And like I tried to play some sports in school, but I'm very dyspraxic, so my coordination is hilariously bad. I cannot kick a or pass a ball to save my life. It's not happening. So like team sports in school weren't happening, and I was really into music. Music, as we know, some guys are athletic and playing bands. Most guys who play in death metal bands are not the most athletic guys in the world. We like drinking, we like partying, and we like eating all kebabs and pizza after all that. So, I was very much in that camp. So a lot of me getting to the gym was filled with self-loathing and fucking wanting to just like I'm gonna just fuck myself up basically. And then over time it became more positive. But yeah, like I still like. But yeah, anyway, by getting into the bodybuilding thing, it was kind of like, well, I got to a certain point and I was like, well, maybe I should give this a shot. Um, and yeah, it was definitely daunting trying to think about like you need to kind of earn your place. And I was getting to that a wee bit later. I did my first show when I was maybe 26 or something like that, which isn't old, but like some guys do are teenagers when they get into bodybuilding, or they get into
Mm.
it when they're like 18, 19. And yeah, I felt a bit older. And with bodybuilding, it's similar to music, but it's slightly different in that you have to put in the time, but you really don't see the reward for quite a long time.
Mhm.
Like you with that's one of the things I liked about bodybuilding, but there's a while where you're kind of doing it, you're super committed, and you're doing all these things that you need to do, and you're doing this perfect meal plan and training super hard, and you're taking your supplements and all this kind of stuff. But like you don't really see the it's very long term satisfaction, delayed satisfaction. So I was kind of you're hammering away at it, hoping that like one day you're going to look like a bodybuilder. But for a while, you're not going to look like a bodybuilder. It'd be impossible. I mean, you can take all the steroids you want, you're still not going to look like a bodybuilder in a month if you've never bodybuilded before. It doesn't work like that. And yeah, there was definitely a long while where I was like, I really fucking hope this is this is happening because it's a lot of effort, man. But in a good way, and it's fun. It's fun, but you just have to believe it and very bit mindset kind of stuff. And I guess the attitude is like you. I wasn't particularly happy with the person that I was at one point, and my mindset, I was like, well, what would the person that I want to be do? I'm going to do that, and then you just do it long enough that you become that person, and that's pretty much what I've done. But yeah, there was a long time of me being like, "Fucking, this seems like a lot. Like, it seems like a lot." Especially again, not that many metal guys into bodybuilding. More than I think there maybe were at one point. But it feels like maybe like you're a bit on the outside already for being like alternative or whatever. Then you get into it and you realize that there are other guys who are like you, but it seems like that. Again, because they're not really into the party scene and that maybe they're into the music, but they're not into kind of all the rest that goes along with it.
Aye. It is the music is just really one kind of microcosm of the kind of alternative, I'd say, lifestyle. It kind
Yeah,
of isn't, because there's a lot of aesthetic things and lifestyle things like making your work shift around going to concerts. At least that's me. It's like even
yeah,
just earlier this morning, I was texting my boss, "Hey, I have gigs booked for like the next 3 months." And it's like,
yeah,
and I'm just praying,
yeah,
Generally they are all right, but there is that one where like I was meant to go and see Wolves in the Throne Room in June, and it's like literally the day before I got my rota, the doors changed to 6 p.m. and I finished at 6 p.m. I don't
right,
live in Glasgow, and it's about an hour for me to get into Glasgow all in because I could either go to the Grahamston station, which is closer to my house, but it's like a train every hour, and the trains are like 40 minutes. Or I
yeah,
could take like a 10-minute taxi journey for a 20-minute train, and there's usually two or three every hour.
right, okay,
So on average, it takes about an hour for me to get into Glasgow, and that's not counting getting to the venue and all that. So it's
yeah,
like, well, fuck. I guess I'm not seeing Wolves in Throne Room, and that made me
yeah,
upset. But with you still being, um, shit, I had it in my head, brain fart. I'm sure you've had that as well. You're talking to
yeah,
someone, you
absolutely,
know the next thing you're going to say. It's like every word, every sentence is on a conveyor belt, and it goes out.
yeah,
And it was on there, and oh yeah, it's came back. So after you've been in the game a while, getting
yeah.
yourself fit, what made you want to start Black Label Coaching and kind of spread that message to other people and your tips to other people and all that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like as I said, when I started going to the gym, like um, I knew I could, I knew I could probably lose weight because I knew I was not being very healthy, right? So I did that, and I went down from maybe somewhere over 20 stone to probably about 12 or 13 or something like that. But then, as I said, I kind of did that, and I was like, this is amazing that I did that, and I was really grateful. But like, I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z and WWF, and I was like,
I
how
won't look like
cool
that.
if I could also be fucking jacked, right? But I honestly, and I mean this quite sincerely, I didn't believe that it was in my cards to ever do that. Like, I was like, I'm just not the guy who's gonna look like that. Um, and then, but being a stubborn bastard, I was like, but I'm gonna fucking try. And now I've kind of done it, and I've seen like the benefits it's given me and my life in terms of building my confidence, um, how it's the lessons that bodybuilding's taught me in terms of discipline and structure and routine, and sometimes doing things that you don't want to do and stuff, but for a long term goal. Like it's helped my career. I think it's helped me meet my wife, who's like for sure someone like 5 years ago, well, not 5 years, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have probably fucking been able to say hello to. Like genuinely, it just wouldn't have happened. Um, and also even how other people perceive and treat me is interesting. Being when I was 20, in my early 20s, as I say, I was a pretty big guy, bit socially awkward. Maybe didn't take as much care over how I presented myself and stuff. Like even how like doormen treat you when you go into a pub, or how the guy in the garage treats you, or like fucking all this kind of stuff. It's weird. I've seen the impact it's had in my life in a positive way, and I'm like, I want to help other people do that basically. And it's not my main career. I still work in IT, work in cybersecurity, but it's something that I do on the side. Obviously, it helps. Bodybuilding is an expensive sport, so because of fucking loads of supplements and gym memberships and all this stuff, so it helps add into that. But yeah, I just get a lot of satisfaction out of helping people. So I helped a couple of guys for free, and then it got to a point where they were like, "I want to give you money because this is a paid service," and that's when it then started becoming a business. It's been cool. I've got the opportunity to work with some really cool guys. Like some of my mates are clients. So like Chris from Party Cannon, he's a client. I know you spoke to Callum from Tyrannus. How do
Yep.
you pronounce his band name? That one.
Tyrannus, I think. Yeah.
He was an ex-client, but I also worked with the vocalist of Distant Tomb for a while. I worked with half of the band Visions of Disfigurement. So I kind of, it's similar people to my origin story. Maybe not quite the same, but like there are people who are in bands, but also want to stay in good shape and be fit and enjoy weightlifting and stuff like that. And now I've started helping people get ready for bodybuilding shows as well. So my client Adam is prepping at the moment. Another client Hayden. They're both guys who are kind of into their alternate music and maybe again not your typical bodybuilder, but they've kind of decided to go down that path, and it's kind of cool getting to sculpt people. I kind of basically just giving them the advice I wish that I had. Right, basically, that's the crack there.
Yeah, it's really inspiring to hear that. And normally somebody will do something and they don't really think about how could this impact others, but it
Yeah,
just goes to show the kind of character that you have that, well, the first things you think of, now that I've done this and I have the tools to do it, I want to help other people do it. And
yeah,
that's something that's really admirable and I have a lot of respect for. Where do
no, I
you
appreciate that.
see Black Label coaching going next? Obviously, you're kind of branching into like online content creation, which I suppose by default, every kind of business brand, whatever, needs to have some kind of online presence outside of
Yeah.
just here's our product on your Instagram feed or whatever. Where do you see, I suppose, the professional side of everything, Black Label coaching yourself, where do you see that going next?
I just hope to keep working with more people. Maybe work with the more people I get to work with, I get to be a bit more selective in who I work with. I like to work with people who are maybe I like to work with people who are ready to make some of the changes.
Mhm.
Because I'm sure anyone listening who's done diets before, especially if the diet's not worked, the reality is that sometimes we have the best intentions to do stuff, but the reality is you do it for a week and then it's like maybe let's not do this. So I'd like to work with more clients who have like slightly bigger goals, ready to kind of take that next step. Um, I'd like to work with more competitive clients. I'd like to work with more guys who want to compete in whether it's bodybuilding or powerlifting or strongman, and kind of again because they have a big goal that they're going to be motivated to work with, or just more people who are just ready to like make a real change, and do some fun stuff because like it is fun. Like that's the part that I like. I like sharing the satisfaction when like you teach someone to like deadlift to failure and they're like get that experience of like, is this weight gonna make me prolapse? I don't know, but it's fucking fun. And then you do it, and then they're like, "Oh, that really was fun." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's fun. Let's do it again, but like more." And like that's the part that's it's another thing. I just think it's really good. I think the gym's really good for people's mental health and as well as their physical health. So yeah, just want to keep helping more people. As I say, I don't really have a specific goal. I don't know if this will ever be like my full time job. It'd be cool if it was, but the reality is that people have fucking bills to pay. so I have a good career. Like I really can't complain about my career. This is just kind of on the side, but yeah, I just want to keep, as I said, keep working with more people, keep working with more motivated people. That's about it.
Yeah, it's a really admirable. I can speak today. I swear to God, it's a really admirable goal, and I truly believe that. Suppose of anybody, I think you can definitely do it. I
No,
have I have a lot of faith that you can do it. Um, and do you ever sometimes get that hankering to be on like a music stage again? Have you ever had that? I know obviously when you stepped away early last year to focus completely on the bodybuilding and all that. In the beginning and even now, do you ever still have that kind of yearning to be on stage?
yeah, I definitely do. I think I will at some point do more Laceration. It's not really a closed book there. Because Laceration was always my band. Like I mean, I formed it when I was 15. I've fired and hired members all the way through till I think we are playing till it's like 25 or 26 or something like that. So um, we went through. Yeah, it's always been my thing. So if I when I'm ready, I will find the people to make the band whole. And maybe play a couple of gigs. I definitely want to do another album or an EP or something like that for sure. Probably play a couple of gigs. I'd love to do some like stand-in work if people just need like preferably vocals to be honest, because guitar's a lot more effort to learn people's music, but I'm not against it. I'd happily do one-off gigs and stuff like that. Um, or even to be honest, just playing a local band that genuinely doesn't really have much ambition outside of just playing some fun gigs at the weekend. Because that's basically the part for me is like I was getting in these bands and it was awesome, but like all of them were just getting to the point where you're not just you're not just playing in somewhere in Glasgow on a Friday night. It's starting to be like, right, we need to go and do a mini tour, and we're going to fly to Europe, and we're going to do a weekend or whatever. And like, don't get me wrong, when I was 22, that was so much fun. It was amazing. But now I'm 31, and I've got like a pregnant wife, and I need to eat my 6 meals, or I'm going to fucking be annoyed at myself. And it's like try to do that and tour is harder, harder to do.
Yeah,
I'm not the
definitely.
man to pull off. So
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that one day we will see you gracing the tiny rancid stage of audio again, jacked as
exactly.
shit, slightly terrifying, but just standing there in awe. Your vocals are incredible. I really enjoyed it. I know that you've still got when you were in Iniquitous Savagery, you've still kept the demo tracks from it.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I will keep those demo tracks for sure. And there's I did quite a few of them with me on them. So I don't know. Maybe one day they'll make their way out in some kind of form, but probably not. I'll let Liam have his thing.
I mean, Liam's been killing it, I think.
Yeah, he has to.
And if you were going to make any kind of comeback with Laceration, with this kind of post-COVID death metal boom in Scotland, it's been incredible. And
It
seeing that
has.
you've been there like pre-COVID when really the only bands that were any kind of success were like Party Cannon, Cerebral Bore when they were a thing, Scored a Tour when they first came about, but they didn't really
Yeah.
do a whole lot. They've came back now and that makes me very happy. But it must kind of like seeing like being a granddad sitting in the chair looking at everything thriving. It must be pretty cool to see knowing that you were part of that groundwork that was very early on.
Yeah. It's really cool seeing how the scene has grown and evolved. Like where like Laceration's like first gig, I remember like Chris Ryan from Party Can, who's now obviously quite like he's a big part of the Scottish scene nowadays. I remember him like driving over, and it was a gig in Perth, and like there were probably fucking 10 people there or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, and like the reason I bring up Chris is like me and Laceration Park I would play a lot. We play a bit with the Nectar Savagery, we play a bit with Scordatura, play with some other bands at the time. Agonized Deformity was a band that was playing, Venice Core, Cancerous Womb. They were kind of the main Scottish bands that were playing. I'm probably missing some, but you know, they were kind of the main ones that were playing in Scotland. And like there were some gigs that were well attended. there were, but like most of them were not, like really not well attended. Um, and like going to gigs now where there are like, it can be pretty much all local bands with maybe one touring band from England or something like that, and they're packed. They're packed. Like I went to see even bigger bands. Like I went to see Suffocation a couple of months ago in Edinburgh, and it was like midweek, and it was fucking packed. Like that didn't happen in Scotland 10, 15 years ago. It just didn't happen. Like the people were not there. But especially for local bands. And it's really, really cool seeing. Really cool. Part of me was like, where the fuck did this happen? Like, it would have been cool if it had happened fucking 10 years ago when I was playing these gigs. But, put that aside. No, it was really cool. It's definitely, it's been good. It's been good to watch it grow. And I'm quite happy watching from the back of the crowd nowadays rather than front of the stage.
I definitely relate to that, especially because I'm one of those people where if I get to the front, I am not leaving it for fucking love nor money. Much to the detriment of my spine, my bladder, especially.
Yeah,
It's like I don't even leave to pee, which is probably bad, but
you gotta do what you gotta do, man.
exactly. I think that's the best takeaway from this podcast and just everything is you just gotta do what you gotta do. Regardless of what you're doing, do it or don't.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, my favorite philosophical quote is from Yoda, and it's "Do or do not do. There is no try." Um, because what is trying? You're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. You decide in your mind that you're going to do it. Decide in your mind that you're going to stay at the front of the crowd, then stay at the front of the crowd. Decide in your mind that you're going to get jacked. Do that. Stop trying. Just do the thing.
Just do the thing. Need to
Yeah.
get that on a if Black Label Coaching ever makes merchandise, we need that in a t-shirt. Just do the thing.
Yeah. Well, probably will do merchandise soon. So maybe I think some kind of play on that would be wise.
You know we need like a really ripped like tank top, right? That's standard
Oh
now.
yeah, yeah. I think so. I think so. It's needs must. Like
I'll buy it. I'll rep it. Absolutely. I know I'm not the kind of body you want to see repping it, but
anyone as well. You know, there's no criteria at all. Criteria is being sound, so you're good with that.
oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Just a few kind of questions before we wrap up here, because again, you are a busy man, got a baby in the way. It was your birthday yesterday, which I'm sure that was a lot of fun. Those wings look absolutely delicious that you posted in your Instagram story, which
Yeah, they're
I'll have
phenomenal. The last ones though, they were a lot spicier than the last time that I had that sauce. And I had a genuine moment of panic at the end of them being like, oh, this is maybe too hot. where everything's on fire and you start seeing danger. That was quite intense, but we survived.
well, clearly, or you wouldn't have been here. But that's another thing is that even when you are starting to see those danger signs, that's just another reason to push through it,
Oh
get
yeah,
through it,
oh yeah, I
do
finished
the
it.
thing.
Don't get me wrong. There were no wings left.
There were no wings left. Love it. Love it. So when you have, because obviously the highs with, I suppose, anything, whether it's bodybuilding, music, whatever, the highs are really high. But when you hit those low points, what's something that you try and do or remember or think that helps you not fall into that pit where you might undo everything you've done?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. I think the first thing is making sure that you're disciplined enough with both your actions and your emotions that you can catch yourself there. So, when because when things are going really well, you don't need to worry about motivation because everything's going so well that you're just motivated to do whatever it is, whether it's writing a new song or whether it's going to the gym or whatever, right? Everything's going well, so you're just going to keep doing it. But when that low eventually comes, you need to have habits formed that means that you're just going to keep doing it. So like if that was being in a band, it might be that like you are going to play guitar for an hour every night. I don't know, I'm just making that up, but let's just say that's your thing. And when you're motivated, it's really easy to play guitar an hour every night because it's all going well. But when it's not, you still need to be like, no, between 6 and 7 is when I play guitar for an hour, so that's what I'm going to do. And it's the same with the gym. It's I know what days I train, and like fucking Monday this week, some idiot crashed into the back of my car on the way to the gym, and I was like, no, call the insurance, and then still went into the gym because that's what I've got to do. Like I know I need to do it. I didn't want to go because my head was all over the place because some kind of just driven into the back of my fucking car. But I still do it anyway, and it's that kind of about having discipline, which is a boring answer. It's not a fun answer, and that life's not fun all the time, and that's pretty much the next thing. But also just remembering your why. We all have a reason, a deeper purpose for what we did this, for why we do the things that we want to do, especially when they, are big goals. We have big ambitions, whether it's fucking anything in life. But we all have a deep down reason why we're going to do it. So it's about remembering your why. And yeah, that's what I do.
It's a very inspiring answer. As much as it's not the thrilling, exciting answer, sometimes the boring answers are the correct ones. And that's
Yeah,
something that it's a lesson that I think everybody needs to learn. I've definitely learned that nothing comes without putting in some kind of work. It doesn't matter what you're doing.
yeah, for sure. It's anything. It's not anything easy isn't worth doing. That's not true. But the things that are worth doing are often hard. Um, if it was easy, everyone would do it, or everyone does do it, and that's why it's probably not that special.
Yeah. So to wrap up, obviously you're very open with about the kind of person you are. Everybody has that kind of stereotype that bodybuilders are just meathead idiots that have no personality and don't like anything. But we see you with like playing Animal Crossing or Nintendo Switch while you're training, and then you've
Oh
got the
yeah,
tiny dog, which is that's weirdly enough another stereotype that I see, but I keep seeing it. Every huge as shit dude has the tiniest dog. I don't
yeah.
know
It's
what
all
that's
about
about.
perspective, man. Like smaller dog makes you look bigger. And no, I got a chihuahua because my mum had a chihuahua, and I think it's the best thing ever. So then I got a chihuahua. I think she's the best thing ever. But yeah, no, I really appreciate that. I want to break the stereotype because I have that as well. I definitely used to be like, I am not the same as these guys who go to the gym, both physically but mentally. And over time, I've realized, nah, we're all pretty cool. Some of the nicest guys I know are some of the scariest looking people I've ever met, and that's okay. And we should
There's
have learned that from metal anyway. Like, come
mhm.
on, everyone looks at guys in metal and's like, these guys are just depressing goths, and like, yeah, some of us are a bit depressing, but not all of us are, and so you still have a laugh.
Definitely. The best laughs I've had are with metal people, and that reminds me of a couple years ago, I took my dad to see Paradise Lost, and he is not really a music fan in any way, let alone a metal fan, let alone anything with like monster noises or anything like that. And I take him there, we're in the garage, and he sees all these people that are like, they could be doctors, they could be like professional trainers, they could be lawyers, they could be anybody, and it just goes to show that you never really know who somebody is on the outside or the inside. You never really know.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. You can't truly judge a book by its cover, and again, maturing as the metal kid was, we always used to complain that people would judge us by how we looked. And then I realized we're quite bad at judging other people by how they look as well. So maybe there's a lesson to be learned there.
Cough, cough, every black metal fan ever. I mean, what? Who said that? Hamish,
Yeah,
I
yeah. Some of us
really,
worse than others. Some of us worse than others.
yeah, definitely. It's fine. You're okay, black metal fans. Just calm down.
Calm down a wee bit. Cheer up a
Yeah,
bit.
just a tiny bit, you know? You don't have to smile, but at least don't just sit like this.
Or they paint it on. They might be smiling really.
Yeah, I bet they are. I bet they are. That's another thing you could do. The next thing for Black Label is just stand there in corpse paint like this, but actually
I
be smiling, big beaming
yeah.
smile.
It'd be a good promotional thing, corpse paint. Maybe we'll see.
I'd kill to see that. That'd be fucking hilarious. But Hamish, I want to thank you so much for taking time out to chat with me. I know you're an incredibly busy man. Happy belated birthday. I hope you had a lot of fun and congratulations on your new baby. I already know it's going to be coming out listening to Devarman and deadlifting.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Put on Butchered at Birth as the coming out the womb song.
It's like those wee things that you can put on like a pregnant woman's stomach and it transmits like I think it transmits music or something like that. Most
Yeah,
people will do like Mozart or Beethoven or like chill baby noises. No, you're just sitting there putting on suffocation and pyrexia.
yeah, for sure. Dying fetus. You need to get in more dead baby references. The Baby Killer Environment, any song by Dying Fetus. There's definitely way more. Comment people listening. Comment songs related to dead babies. That's your task.
You heard it from the man himself. If you watch this and you like it, comment down below any dead baby reference song out there. We will put a playlist together and we will feed it to Hamish's newborn child. I don't know how well that's going to go.
That's definitely one of the more fucked up things I've discussed in the last while. That's good. I've enjoyed that. Thank you.
It's been a lot of fun. I'll have everything linked to both your Instagram, the Black Label Coaching stuff, the Black Label Coaching podcast, as well as a list of everything you've done when you were in music. Thank you again for taking the time out to chat with me. This has been Cracking the Shell, episode 16. We are legal enough to drink in Europe. Thank you again, everyone, and I will see you all next time. Peace.
Cheers.